Hello there. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to have a chat with you about the healing principle of embracing at a bit more length. So, a healing principle, one of the essential aspects for us doing our inner work, to change, to move forward in our life, to have more freedom, more space, is we need to reintegrate the parts of us that are stuck. We have a lot of fragments, we have a lot of parts. It's just part of the whole journey of coming into a human life and the whole splitting and separation that's in that process. Well, particularly with a difficult childhood, and I suspect you might have had plenty of challenges as a child, maybe some full-on abuse, trauma, neglect, whatever was going on for you. But even with little t trauma, even just turning up, I think, on the planet as a child is very stressful. And in the stress of it, the pain, the fear, we fragment. And fragmenting means we split off different parts of us. We shut them down. We might consciously suppress them or unconsciously repress them. We judge them, shun them, avoid them, deny them, push them away. And fair enough. We're coping, we're surviving, and these parts can be stuck in enormous pain. Fear, terror, guilt, shame, rage, fury, sadness, grief, these very difficult emotions that are so hard to process, particularly as a child, and particularly if we don't have any empathic witnessing, if we're not getting any empathic support as we go through these experiences as a child. So they get really jammed up. Look, this stuff's hard enough to deal with as an adult, so of course as a child this stuff's completely overwhelming. And trauma is essentially just stuck energy. It's life experiences, emotion, feelings, memories, experiences that we haven't been able to process, we haven't had the help to process, and it's all just jammed up in our system. And we go into our trauma reactions and as adults struggle with all sorts of things dealing with that, the consequences of that, the flashbacks of that, and the bad dreams and the reactions and the addictions and everything we're doing to cope. And this all really stems from stuck energies. Parts of us that are contracted, parts of us that are blocked and fragmented out. And so healing requires the reintegration of these parts. Healing essentially is coming back into union, back into oneness, back into balance, back into harmony. And love is the quality that does that, and we've talked about that many times in terms of what heals, the approach that heals. But embracing is an aspect of that loving approach that's essential. And so, when we understand it as fragments that need to be brought back into wholeness rather than negative parts of us that we need to get rid of, good luck with that, then we're smashing it. We're miles ahead. We're kind of well onto it now when we understand this principle. I remember one of my therapists, this probably a couple of decades ago, but saying, well, if it's a part of self and we want to get rid of it, well, which limb do you want to cut off? It's really an essential part of self that we can't just surgically remove. And so we have to turn around that natural human impulse to want to reject, push away, shun. That's just our fear-based, egoic, separated mind nature to want to do that, our tendency to do that. And so we have to turn that around, and in our therapy it's finding the courage and the strength, and usually, well, always really at the start, we need some help holding space with this, to sit with us as we practice turning towards what hurts the most, turning towards what we dislike the most, turning towards what we're most afraid of. And as we do that, that part that was sent out into outer orbit, then we're inviting it forward. It might take a while to, for it to be in the same room as us. It might take a while before, we can have it sitting right in front of us. But eventually that part, that wounded child, that whatever fear, guilt, rage part, will respond to a gentle curiosity. And maybe the best we can do at the start is just to, okay, well, maybe I'll try to be curious about what's going on for it. But eventually we find love and compassion, because it turns out this part of us is a very important part. In fact, the parts that have suffered the most, gone through the darkest, most difficult experiences, are actually the parts that will bring about the greatest growth and learning and development and evolution. The hardest things are where we actually gain the most. But we're in a process, aren't we, of recovering, of healing out the residue from those hard experiences. And so we may not be very consciously aware of the gifts that have come out of the trauma just yet, and we'll get to that. But for now, it's about embracing. It's about gently accepting, to use Eugene Gendlin's terms from his old focusing work, this is back in the 60s, 70s. It's about turning towards this part and at least trying to understand, okay, what's it about? And of course, this is very challenging when a part turns up in really demonic form. I got a real shock the first time the devil turned up in my process. And we're not talking about some spiritual being out there. We're talking about an aspect of me that was that darkened and that, inverted and attacking and whatever. But even that, I can promise you, transmuted. Started to shift it, started to get to what was beneath it, started to get to what was behind that fear, that rage, whatever. And this will work the same for you. I've worked with so many hundreds of people over the last 30 years, and I just love it. It doesn't surprise me anymore, but it does blow me away. I still love it and get so much joy seeing that transmutation occur. And of course, when that part is loved, embraced, understood, and the layers start to shift, and there's that transmutation that happens, there's that beautiful settling. And because we're doing the process in hypnotherapy, we're dropping in to that language of the subconscious mind, there's always quite profound imagery, and the face of the part will soften, and the body language will relax, and the part will go from being very demonic or adversarial or difficult really into just a sleeping baby, a settled, loved, comfortable, relaxed, safe child. And that's essentially what we're doing. We're reclaiming, reintegrating, remembering all the parts of us that are like our inner children. And I think there's hundreds of them, really. And we're so fragmented, it's a big jigsaw puzzle. But each child is important. Each child that's reintegrated back into the wholeness of self creates a feeling of more space. People often report it to me as lightness. They feel lighter. I like to call it range of movement or freedom. I've got a sticker on my car that says freedom. It just says that word, one word. And really, that's what we want, isn't it? We want more of that spaciousness, that ease, that peacefulness as we put the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle back in place. Our wholeness increases and expands. Our resting pulse becomes more peaceful. A gentle joy, a beautiful quiet love can flow through, which is, of course, your greater self, your true self, coming through more because there's more room for the true self to come through more. This all results from embracing. So, I wish you well with that. That's the approach to bring to your inner work, love and embracing. Loving embrace, that's really at the very heart of it. I hope this video has been helpful just to understand why that process is essential and why it works. And please reach out, follow, like, subscribe. All helps encourage me on sharing these things. And if you have any questions or you need any assistance, please just reach out. Absolutely, it's my life purpose to support you on your healing journey and the loving embrace of every part of you.